in ancient times, in an ancient world. The ancient Greeks did not believe dreams were illusions. They believed dreams were places, real journeys, real encounters between the human soul and forces beyond ordinary reality. When night fell and consciousness dissolved into darkness, the Greeks believed the soul crossed a threshold, a borderland between worlds, the living and the dead, the mortal and divine, memory and prophecy, truth and deception. This is why dreams were feared, not because they were meaningless, but because they might reveal something real, a hidden truth, a warning from the gods, a vision of death before it arrived. And among all the beings connected to this mysterious realm, one figure ruled above the rest: Morpheus, the shaper of dreams, the god who entered sleeping minds wearing the faces of men. He could imitate the living, the dead, kings, lovers, warriors lost to time. To dream of someone long gone was not considered imagination. The Greeks believed someone, or something, had crossed into the dream beside you, and Morpheus was the one who opened the door. The Greeks imagined a silent realm hidden at the edge of existence, the house of Hypnos, the dwelling place of sleep itself. Ancient poets described it as a vast cave buried deep within eternal darkness. No wind entered there, no animals cried out, no bronze rang against stone. Absolute silence ruled the place. Outside the cave grew endless fields of poppies and dark medicinal herbs associated with sleep, trance, and forgetting. Nearby flowed the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, one of the rivers of the underworld. Already, the symbolism becomes clear. Sleep was not viewed merely as rest. It was a temporary surrender of consciousness, a descent into oblivion, a state disturbingly close to death itself. Inside this shadowed realm lived Hypnos, the primordial god of sleep. Not an Olympian, not a ruler of thunder or sea, something older, quieter, a force every living being eventually obeyed. Even Zeus himself could not resist sleep forever, and Hypnos was not alone. Beside him lived his twin brother, Phantasos, death. To the Greeks, sleep and death were siblings, not metaphorically, literally. Both were children of Nyx, the primordial goddess of night. This ancient lineage reveals something profound about Greek thought. Darkness gave birth to both sleep and death, one temporary, one eternal. Morpheus was never one of the great Olympian gods. He had no grand temples overlooking cities, no armies marched beneath his banner, no vast cult worshipped him openly. And yet, every human being entered his realm every night. His name comes from the Greek word morphe, meaning form or shape. Because Morpheus could shape dreams into living images, he was said to possess an extraordinary ability, the power to perfectly imitate human beings, their voices, their movements, their expressions. This made him deeply unsettling, because Morpheus blurred the boundary between reality and illusion, between memory and visitation, between imagination and the possibility that something truly existed beyond sleep. Unlike later modern portrayals, the ancient Morpheus was not merely gentle or comforting. Dreams in Greek mythology were unpredictable. Some brought wisdom, others brought terror, and Morpheus himself was not a moral figure. Morpheus was only one among many dream spirits. The Greeks called them the Oneiroi, children of night, beings born from shadow, silence, and the hidden mind. Ancient writers imagined them emerging each night like mist from the underworld. Some drifted toward kings and prophets, others toward ordinary sleepers. But not all dreams were believed to be true. This distinction was so important that Greek mythology gave dreams two separate gates. The gates of dreams, first described in Homer's Odyssey, One gate was made of horn, the other, ivory. Dreams that passed through the gate of horn were believed to carry truth, prophecy, visions, messages from divine powers. But dreams emerging from the ivory gate were false, deceptive, illusions meant to mislead the dreamer. This symbolism fascinated philosophers for centuries. Even the ancient Greeks understood that dreams could deceive as easily as they revealed. Morpheus was said to govern dreams shaped like human reality, but his brothers governed stranger territories. Phobetor, also called Iselos, sent nightmares involving beasts, monsters, and terror. Phantasos shaped surreal dreams filled with impossible landscapes, strange objects, and distorted realities. Together, they formed an entire hidden universe beneath consciousness itself. To sleep, in the ancient imagination, was to enter another world entirely. To the ancient Greeks, dreams were not meaningless fragments of the mind. They were messages, warnings, prophecies, divine interventions. Entire wars, journeys, and political decisions could be shaped by a single dream. In Homer's Iliad, Zeus himself sends a deceptive dream to Agamemnon. In other myths, gods appear to heroes during sleep to deliver commands or warnings about the future. Dreams occupied a strange space in Greek thought. They were both feared and respected, because no one truly knew where they came from. Some believed dreams were sent directly by the gods. Others believed wandering spirits entered the mind at night. Certain philosophers suggested the soul itself traveled while the body slept, and ordinary people often viewed vivid dreams as omens of events yet to come. This is why professional dream interpreters existed in the ancient world. Some traveled between cities offering interpretations. Others served rulers and nobles directly. One of the most famous was Artemidorus, a Greek writer from the 2nd century AD, who composed an enormous work known as the Oneiroi, the interpretation of dreams. Unlike modern psychology, Artemidorus believed dreams could genuinely predict future events. He carefully catalogued symbols, recurring patterns, bodily sensations, animals, storms, ships, temples, snakes, weddings, funerals, and countless other dream images. To him, dreams formed a symbolic language, a coded system requiring interpretation. A dream about losing teeth might foretell the death of family members. Dreams of sailing rough seas could represent political instability or personal danger. Even today, many of these symbolic associations survive in popular culture. But the Greeks believed something deeper. They believed dreams revealed hidden realities that waking life concealed. And this belief made sleep profoundly mysterious, because every night, human beings willingly surrendered consciousness to forces they could neither fully understand nor control. One of the most fascinating practices of the ancient world was dream incubation, a ritual in which people deliberately sought divine dreams, especially in sanctuaries dedicated to Asclepius, the god of healing. The sick and suffering traveled great distances to sleep inside sacred temples. These sanctuaries were not ordinary places. They were designed to feel separated from the everyday world. Quiet chambers, burning incense, purification rituals, sacred springs, whispered prayers in darkness. Before sleeping, visitors often fasted, bathed, or performed sacrifices. Then they entered special sleeping halls known as abaton chambers, and there, they waited for dreams. The Greeks believed the gods could appear during sleep to offer healing, guidance, or prophecy. Some dreamers claimed Asclepius touched their wounds directly. Others saw symbolic visions later interpreted by priests. Ancient inscriptions from these temples record miraculous healings, blind men recovering sight, paralysis disappearing, women conceiving children after divine dreams. To modern historians, these accounts may reflect ritual psychology, suggestion, or spiritual placebo effects. But to the ancient Greeks, the experience was real. The dream itself was considered sacred contact with the divine. And beneath these practices lies something even more intriguing. Some scholars have noted that the architecture of certain incubation temples resembled symbolic descents into the underworld: dark passageways, subterranean chambers, restricted silence, almost as if the dreamer was temporarily dying before returning transformed. This reflects an ancient belief found across many cultures, that true wisdom emerges in altered states of consciousness, not through ordinary waking thought, but through vision, silence, darkness, and dreams. There is a lesser-known dimension to Morpheus rarely explored in modern retellings. In some ancient traditions, dreaming was believed to involve the temporary wandering of the soul. When the body slept, the soul loosened from ordinary reality, not fully separated like death, but no longer completely bound to the physical world. This belief appears in Orphic traditions, certain Platonic writings, and later mystical philosophies influenced by Greek thought. Dreams, therefore, became more than imagination. They became journeys, and Morpheus became something more than a dream maker. He became a guide through hidden realms. This idea explains why dreams in antiquity often felt spiritually significant. The dreamer was not simply seeing images. The soul itself was encountering symbols, memories, spirits, or truths beyond waking life. Some dreams were believed to come from the dead, others from divine beings. Some were considered glimpses into fate itself. And in many myths, dreams occur precisely at moments of transition, before death, before catastrophe, before revelation, because dreams existed on the boundary between worlds. The Greeks understood this boundary instinctively. Every night, consciousness vanished into darkness. No one fully knew where the mind went, and no one could guarantee they would wake again. This uncertainty made sleep sacred, but also frightening. To enter sleep was to surrender, to trust unseen powers, to walk willingly into the invisible. And somewhere within that darkness, the Greeks believed Morpheus waited. Not all dreams brought comfort. Some arrived like warnings from the abyss. The ancient Greeks believed certain dreams carried terror because they revealed truths the waking mind could not bear. A king might dream of his kingdom burning. A mother might see her child standing among the dead. A warrior might witness his own death before battle. These were not dismissed as imagination. They were treated seriously, because prophecy in the ancient world often arrived through sleep. One of the most disturbing examples appears in Greek tragedy. Before the murder of Agamemnon is avenged, his wife Clytemnestra dreams she gives birth to a serpent. In the dream, the serpent feeds from her breast, drawing blood instead of milk. The dream horrifies her, and soon afterward, her son Orestes returns to kill her. To the Greeks, the dream was not symbolic fiction. It was fate already approaching. Dreams like this reflected a terrifying belief that destiny sometimes revealed itself before it unfolded. But nightmares were not always prophetic. Some were believed to be attacks from darker dream spirits. Among the Oneiroi, Morpheus shaped human forms and believable visions. But his brother Phobetor brought nightmares filled with monstrous animals, shadows, violence, and primal fear. The Greeks believed terror itself could enter dreams as a living force. And in many ancient cultures, nightmares were linked to spiritual pollution, guilt, or divine punishment. A murderer might be haunted in sleep by the dead. A person who broke sacred oaths might suffer relentless visions. In this way, dreams became deeply connected to conscience. The sleeping mind could not hide from truth. This idea appears again and again in Greek literature. The guilty are unable to rest. The cursed are pursued through sleep. The dead return in visions demanding justice. And perhaps this reveals something timeless about humanity. Even today, fear often emerges most powerfully in dreams. Not when the mind is distracted by the waking world, but when silence falls and hidden anxieties rise from beneath consciousness. The Greeks understood this long before psychology existed. They believed the soul itself spoke most clearly in darkness. As Greek philosophy evolved, dreams became more than divine messages. They became windows into the hidden structure of reality itself. In Orphic traditions, the soul was viewed as something divine, yet trapped within the physical body. In certain Orphic traditions, human life itself was viewed as a kind of spiritual imprisonment. And sleep temporarily loosened those chains. During dreams, the soul could move closer to the unseen realms from which it originally came. This is one reason sleep and initiation rituals were often connected in mystery traditions. Darkness was not merely absence, it was transformation, a symbolic death before rebirth. Plato also treated dreams with unusual seriousness. In works like The Republic, he suggested that hidden desires and deeper truths emerge during sleep, especially when rational control fades. But Plato also believed the soul could access higher realities beyond ordinary perception. For later Platonists, dreams became part of the soul's ascent toward divine knowledge. Some philosophers believed prophetic dreams occurred when the distractions of the physical world became silent enough for the soul to perceive truth directly. This idea would survive for centuries, eventually influencing Hermetic traditions, alchemy, mysticism, and later occult philosophy. In Hermetic thought, dreams were sometimes viewed as symbolic communications from the deeper cosmos, not random images, but encoded truths, a language of symbols requiring spiritual interpretation. Snakes, stars, labyrinths, floods, temples, ascending staircases, all carried hidden meanings. This ancient belief still echoes through modern esoteric systems today. Tarot, alchemy, ceremonial magic, Jungian psychology, all preserve fragments of the older idea that symbols emerging from the unconscious mind contain transformative power. And at the center of this ancient mystery stood Morpheus, not merely a god of pleasant dreams, but a guardian of the invisible threshold between worlds, a being connected to altered consciousness itself. To the Greeks and later esoteric traditions, dreams were not meaningless illusions. They were messages carried from the hidden architecture of existence, and sleep was the doorway through which humanity briefly crossed into the unknown. To the ancient Greeks, sleep was the closest thing to death a person could experience and still return from. Every night, consciousness vanished. The eyes closed. The body became still. Awareness disappeared into darkness. And for a few vulnerable hours, the soul seemed to leave the waking world behind. This is why the Greeks imagined sleep and death as brothers, Hypnos and Thanatos, twin sons of Nyx, the primordial goddess of night. Ancient artists often depicted them together carrying the bodies of fallen warriors from battlefields. The imagery is striking. Sleep and death move alike, silently, gently, inevitably, one temporary, one eternal. Even Homer describes death itself as a kind of endless sleep. And many Greek funerary traditions reflected this connection. The dead were often portrayed as resting, sleeping beneath the earth, dreaming eternally in the underworld. This idea also explains why dreams were associated with spirits of the dead. In sleep, the boundary separating worlds became thin. The living might glimpse those who had crossed beyond mortal existence: a dead parent, a lost lover, a fallen child. To modern audiences, this may sound symbolic, but ancient people frequently believed such dreams were genuine visitations, messages carried across the border between life and death. Some even feared sleeping in certain places, believed haunted by restless spirits or underworld powers, because sleep made a person vulnerable, open, exposed to forces hidden from waking sight. This fear appears again in Greek myth, when Hera asks Hypnos to place Zeus himself into magical sleep. Even the king of the gods could become powerless once consciousness faded. This ancient connection between sleep and death survives even now. People still speak of eternal rest, still describe the dying as passing peacefully in their sleep, still feel unease watching someone sleep too still, too silently. Some fears are older than civilization itself, and beneath them lies the same ancient mystery the Greeks could never fully answer. Where does consciousness go when it disappears each night? And why does sleep resemble death so closely? Much of what the modern world imagines about Morpheus comes not from early Greek mythology, but from Rome, specifically from the Roman poet Ovid. In his great work, Metamorphoses, written in the 1st century AD, Ovid gives one of the most vivid descriptions of the dream world in all ancient literature. He describes the House of Sleep as a vast, shadowed palace hidden near the land of the Cimmerians, a mythical people said to dwell in perpetual darkness. No doors creaked there, no animals made sound, no sunlight entered the halls. Silence ruled absolutely. In Metamorphoses, Morpheus is sent to appear in a dream to Alcyone, revealing the death of her husband Ceyx, lost at sea. The scene is haunting. Morpheus takes the exact shape of the dead man, wet with seawater, pale from death, speaking with sorrow. The dream feels utterly real, and when Alcyone awakens, she already knows the truth. This story profoundly influenced later European ideas about dreams, not merely as fantasy, but as emotional encounters carrying hidden truth. Over time, Morpheus became increasingly romanticized in art and literature. Painters portrayed him as a winged youth drifting through clouds. Poets associated him with imagination, inspiration, and altered states of consciousness. Eventually, the scientific world even borrowed his name. Morphine, the powerful sleep-inducing drug, was named after Morpheus because of its dreamlike effects. And centuries later, modern films, fantasy stories, and psychological symbolism would continue drawing from the same ancient figure, because the image of a god shaping dreams still speaks to something deeply human: the fear that reality itself may be less stable than it appears, and the possibility that dreams reveal truths the waking mind cannot fully comprehend. The ancient Greeks asked questions we still cannot fully answer. Why do dreams feel real? Why do certain dreams linger for years? Why do symbols emerge from darkness without conscious control? And why do some dreams seem to know us better than we know ourselves? Modern psychology attempted to explain these mysteries scientifically. Sigmund Freud viewed dreams as hidden expressions of repressed desire. Carl Jung believed dreams revealed archetypes emerging from the collective unconscious, ancient symbolic patterns shared across humanity. And strangely, Jung's ideas often echo the older mythological worldview, a hidden symbolic realm beneath ordinary consciousness, a world speaking through images rather than words. In this sense, Morpheus never vanished. He simply became psychological instead of divine. But modern culture also transformed him into something larger. Fantasy and science fiction frequently portray dream worlds as alternate realities, entire dimensions hidden beneath waking life. This idea traces directly back to ancient beliefs about the Oneiroi and the dream realm. Even the famous character Morpheus in The Matrix carries symbolic echoes of the ancient god. He awakens people from illusion, guides them between realities, reveals hidden truth beneath appearances. The name was not accidental. The connection between dreams and reality remains central to the story. But perhaps the most fascinating survival of Morpheus is humanity's continued belief that dreams matter. Even in a scientific age, people still search dreams for meaning, still fear nightmares, still record strange visions, still wonder whether the dead can appear during sleep. Because despite all modern knowledge, dreams remain one of the last great mysteries of the human mind. And somewhere within that mystery, the ancient shadow of Morpheus still lingers. If these forgotten stories speak to you, like the video and subscribe to Ancient Untold Stories, where mythology, mystery, and the oldest truths of the ancient world still whisper through the darkness of time.